This is something that I think is important for people to kind of grasp. If you are doing something that's aligned with your true self or your purpose, you will find the momentum, the energy, and the engagement to do it. No one will have to tell you to do it. You will not need to watch YouTube motivational videos every single day to get inspired to do what you truly are here to do. If you're doing something because it's a money, because mum and dad told you to do, you will procrastinate, you will feel tired, you will lack concentration, and ultimately you'll give up every time.
In today's episode, I'm having a sit-down conversation with one of my long-time closest friends, Peter Polly. We love to discuss topics like our search for purpose in life and have both been on and shared in each other's deep self-discovery journeys for years now. Peter has been working tirelessly on a groundbreaking online video course that shows you how to attract your ideal partner by overcoming your fears and setting goals that are congruent with what's really important to you. Peter feels inspired to share the knowledge he has acquired because he wants to create real, tangible change in people's lives. This is his purpose. So, welcome to my humble abode. This is your first time here.
It is. Never seen the house, never seen the setup, which is unreal.
This is the Ruland household, mate.
I know, it's intimidating.
This is it.
I got lights and cameras everywhere. It's unreal.
But today, we're talking about the challenges of working from home.
Yeah.
Because you've worked from home and you continue to work from home. So give us a little bit of info on your setup at home, and a bit of your backstory, I guess.
So it's been a long 4 or 5 years because you've been a part of it. You've seen the journey. It's been a real journey to understand who I am, what I want, and how I'm going to get there. And
because you were in construction, weren't you? You were pretty high up in the construction industry.
Yeah, I would say most people would say it was a good pay packet, and I'd been doing it for maybe 6 or 7 years, and I'd cemented myself in as...
So you'd been in that higher position for 6 or 7 years? Yeah.
Oh, I'd say the higher position in terms of the better pay for about 2 or 3, but I'd purchased an investment property and I was building savings and I was doing what I guess I thought I wanted to do, but it was really what everyone else wanted me to do. But I wasn't even aware of what subordination was back then. It was, my mum told me this and my dad's told me this, so I'm gonna go and do it. It didn't really cross my mind to start doing things that I want for myself.
Yep.
So I left the industry at the end of 2014, and it was, no one told me to, but it just sort of hit me. But it had been building up over time. I had this feeling and I couldn't explain it, and it was something that was telling me you need to get out.
Something in your gut like churning, saying this just isn't doing it for me anymore. This is just, the money doesn't cut it.
Yep, and I was a very money-driven person, right? If you remember.
I remember.
Money was my thing.
Yeah.
And that's all I ever did anything for. And you'd be aware you can do that for a period of time in your life, and then you reach burnout, and then it doesn't matter how much you're making, you're so unhappy and dissatisfied that you start to wonder, well, is there something I can do that I'll actually enjoy? And the other issue I found, it was the people I worked with were very fixed-minded people, so stuck in their ways for 20, 30, 40 years. They only saw one way through life. They weren't open to anything alternative, and if you were to present anything to them, they would disregard it or laugh it off.
Right, I remember you telling stories about that too. Old mate at work, they just couldn't. You would try and talk to them about certain things a bit deeper level, and they just almost laugh it off. Larrikins, what are you going on about? Because they're so not used to talking about stuff that really affects you.
Yeah, they're not in tune with it. But
trying to be fulfilled, I guess, in life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are overweight, and a lot of them are quite angry and have short tempers. It's because they're dissatisfied, unfulfilled. They're eating a lot of shit food. They're going through divorces or whatever's going on, and it all comes from a place that I think a lot of them, pretty much every single person who watches this or that I've met has subordinated at some point in their life. They've done things for extended periods that someone in their family has told them to do. And
so that's what you would call subordination?
Yeah, subordination is you looking up to someone doing what they say and living your life by the way they live their lives. So early forms of subordination are, you have to go to uni, you have to get good grades, and you have to get a job full time, and you have to have kids, and you have to have a house, and you've got to buy that house and get a mortgage and all of those things.
Fit into this system at all these different levels.
Yeah.
And that's the way life works. And
Yeah.
don't bother looking at alternatives, because that's not how it works. And this is how everyone does it. So if everyone does it that way, then that's the only way to do it, right?
Exactly. And what happens if you go against it? You try and go against it, you get opposition. And so when it comes to subordinating, one of the big things that people struggle with is doing something they really want and then getting judgment from their mother and father and their friends and, their religion and things like that. They're so terrified that they'll lose the friends, that the family will turn their back on them, that they'll be ridiculed. And it's just not very well accepted to find something that you love, that you're driven and motivated to do, and then go and present that to the world in a way that you can help people. It's not considered normal, and it's more considered normal to do a job you hate every day, suck it up.
Which just doesn't make sense, does it?
No.
Doesn't it? Like, it just baffles your mind. Why would people all sign up for this? Why do 95% of the people sign up for this system of misery? Torture, really. It's extended torture.
It is.
Like low level, but
Yeah.
it ends up working itself into a high level, just people anxiety, just the anxiety of being unfulfilled.
Yeah, and
Just
I don't think we really know the exact effects it has on things like the immune system and your overall health when you're doing something you do not like and you're unhappy and you're just pushing through because you have to.
it's like a drip feed of unhappiness.
Yeah.
But it's beyond just being unhappy. It's like gut wrenching. Like it's down here.
Yeah.
And it's just eating at you, and then it ends up just growing into this thing that consumes you.
Yeah.
And you can't deny it anymore. And then we look for alternatives. We look for, some people look for drugs, quick fixes, dopamine hits. And then some people say, I might continue doing this for a bit longer, but I want more from life. And I'm going to go out there and search. What am I passionate about? What can I go after? And I remember when those gears were turning in your mind, and you were, and then you found something new, what you wanted to go for, how you could get out, I guess.
Yeah, and it wasn't straightforward, and I don't even think we have enough time to physically go through what the past 4 years has brought my way to figure out something that I'd enjoy to do, because it wasn't as if I sat there and said, so what do I like doing? And, okay, I like this and this. Well, I'm going to do that as a business. It was more, what's holding me back? What are the fears that I do? What are the fears that I have? What things from my past am I still connected to? Like, what things occurred to me throughout primary school, high school, after high school that I'm holding on to emotionally that I need to work through? How does it all link together? I tried a few things and they didn't work. I didn't just go and quit the job and find the thing. I quit the job, spent 4.5 years doing personal development, intense personal development with one-on-one coaching and doing 2-day seminars, 7-day seminars, ebooks, you name it. I've been there and tried it, done it, and faced anything from my past that I needed to face. So we were talking about this earlier today. It was some people, if you push a button and go, well, you've got this emotion probably because of this, they're defensive. Oh,
straight up the walls just go, whoop.
Yes.
They're up.
Emotional
and then
walls.
You can feel it and you're like, well, often I'll just tune out from those people. I'll be like, there's just no point. Yeah, you're not ready. Like you haven't delved into your woundings and old stuff enough to be even at level 1 to try and tackle it, let alone up at your level 8 of anxiety and just being consumed in all that crap.
Totally, it is, and it's consuming.
It's just it's total lack of self-awareness, awareness of these old woundings.
But it's foggy too. So when you're in that position, so in construction, for example, if I was to come across someone and present an idea and they're immediately really hesitant to it, If you were to ask them to give me, do you have some clarity on this, or this, or do you have some goals, or do you have an idea of anything that you'd be motivated or inspired to do? And they can't think because there's a lot of fog, and I had that fog. So it took 4 years or 5 years because I was not clear, because I had a lot of past resentments and a lot of things I was holding on to. And once I worked through it layer by layer, I started to get a bit clear. But going back to that thing I was saying before, I tried a couple online businesses. I tried another business that didn't really take off. But what I noticed with each one of those was I wasn't willing to go all the way with it. And when it came to really putting myself out there, I was never intending to do it really. So a bit of maybe
distraction almost?
Yeah, like I wasn't doing anything else, so maybe just...
You hadn't found your true purpose, had you?
Exactly.
I feel like this video is going down the line of, we're not really talking about the challenges of working from home. Hey, we're going deeper.
We've gone way off.
Which is cool, because I mean, this is real talk.
It is.
But,
I struggle not to talk about this.
I know, we love talking about
I love it.
This stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stuff that really cripples you on a daily basis.
Yes.
But let's bring it back a little to...
Okay, yeah.
So you've basically tried working from home for 4 to 5 years now.
Yeah, it's I started 2015. January 2015 was my first month of doing contract work. So I didn't completely detach from construction, because we need to make a bit of money as we're learning about ourselves and doing these seminars and whatever and getting help. But I was doing 3-month contracts and having 4 months off, and then 3-month contracts.
Buying yourself some time.
Literally.
Some income on them to keep you going, because we all need to survive.
We do, yeah.
Livelihood.
And so back to the main point of the video, I guess, the things I initially struggled with when I didn't have any tools. Now I have a lot more sort of awareness of what's going on, but I would get into poor routines was a big one, and lack of motivation, lack of inspiration.
Why do you think that was? Do you think it's because you no longer had that boss on your back? Deadlines are out the window. I know for me, one of the biggest struggles is, and I still struggle with this, if I don't set deadlines for things, that where I think, I'll get that done by the end of the week, that'll continue into the next week. Not by Friday, it'll the next week, and then sometimes the next Friday will come around. Something that was meant to take 1 week is now going on 2 weeks, and it's Friday, and it'll continue into a third week. And I will justify in my mind why I haven't done that yet, because I've been busy over here, I've been doing that over there, and I've got a stepchild to look after as well, and my partner, and all these things you make up for why you're not executing, why you're not just getting it done.
I think it can be a few factors. However, one of the big things is connecting what that task is that took 3 weeks. What was that task leading to, and what was the ultimate goal within that task? So where I had a bit of a shift was when one of my mentors said, there are multiple areas of life. It's not just money, it's social, and it's family, and it's physical, and there's 7 areas, major areas of life. And have you set an overarching goal for each of those areas? And have you then broken that goal down into 7 steps? And have you then broken those 7 steps into daily bite-sized actions that you can do at home every single day?
I know the answer for the majority of people is no.
No.
Hell no.
No, because goal setting is not huge. It's more like New Year's resolutions, which, by the way, in my opinion, are bullshit, because New Year's resolutions are things that you could have set any time to do, but you wait for New Year's because that's when you're most motivated, because everyone else sets these. And then most of the time, I'm not going to say every time, most of the time people stop doing those resolutions about a month or 2 into the new year, because they're not aligned to anything.
And that's statistically proven. It shows.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happened to me many times.
Yep. Jim's a huge one.
This year I'm going to do this. I'm going to go and get it. And then I might end up crushing all the goals that I'm already crushing. Like gym, I find easy to get motivated for the gym and to hit the gym. But other goals, I think how you're saying you need micro goals, or goals within each of these different areas, like 5 areas. I think most people just focus on one, and often it will be career. People will bury themselves into their jobs while everything else like their partner suffers.
Yeah.
They're not the father or the mother that they could be to their child or children.
Yeah.
Because they are just zoned in on this one area rather than trying to find balance and crushing little goals across all of them.
Absolutely.
Inevitably, that would lead to feeling fulfilled, right?
Oh, totally.
Crushing all.
Oh, massively.
I think most often it leads to unfulfillment when we're only hitting one of many, 5 areas that we should be trying to focus on.
I think balance was really key in what you said, and also self-worth. So when think of any time, and anyone watching this can think of any time you've set a goal, you've worked towards it, you accomplished it, your self-worth went up. You felt better about yourself. However, I see a lot of people just going through the motions and not having any goal set. And any area of your life that you don't take control of, someone else will take control of it for you.
That's true.
Yeah.
You feel that when it happens.
Yeah. If you have no authority or goals in, so let's say, the physical area of life, but your partner or your friends are quite healthy, they'll be telling you how to eat and that you should be going to gym. And they'll overpower you and try and get you to empower that area. So it's best to take control of your own goals, and then you don't get told what to do. You can actually do things you want to do. And that's a huge thing I've noticed. But you can be aware of that in your life and go, okay, I don't really spend a lot of time on the spirituality side, so I have a lot of people telling me what I should believe in or something. You can sort of see that occur in your life. It's pretty evident where you don't have power.
Do you think it's one of the challenging parts of working from home or working for yourself from home is not having the structure of a normal job?
Totally. Not having
structure is huge. You become crippled by it.
Absolutely. I would set structure, not early on, because I struggled a lot with keeping any sort of momentum or structure in my life, but I would then try and set morning blocks of work, midday, get out of the house, get some fresh air, get something to eat, still allow yourself
a little reset in the middle of the day. I think that's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been weeks where I didn't really get any sun or not much fresh air.
I know I'm not as productive if I don't have something in the middle of the day, which often for me is a bit of gym. If I get to the gym, I find a mental reset in that, and then I can come back and still crush the afternoon and get some proper work done. If I don't have any gap and my breaks are only to eat, then I'm in trouble. Yeah.
I think having that thing that you have a bit of a release, or that hobby that makes you feel good, is really important, because
it breaks up your hormones or whatever's going through your body. Chemically, it resets. It's something different to jog you, and then you can get back to, say, focusing.
Absolutely, and overall health, right? Doing 30 to 45 minutes of exercise, which I still struggle with now. I can get lazy with that, especially if I get in the zone. And if you're ever in the zone, which I know you do, you get in the zone big time.
I do.
Lose track of time. I've forgotten to eat before. Just like, it's 5 o'clock.
I kind of like that when you get lost in the work or whatever you're going after. If you get lost in it, I'm like, I feel this sense of pride. And they're like, but I should still go and eat.
I should make dinner.
Go get a burrito.
It gets in the way though, doesn't it? Some like foods, it can get in the way. You're like, I don't want to cook. I don't want to.
Especially if you're focused. Like if I'm in editing and I'm like in the zone. And my body's saying, eat. You got to eat now. You're your own boss here. Go and eat. And I'm like, but I'm just in that flow state, and I just got to keep going here. Sometimes I'll go another hour of editing, and then I'll be starting to get the shakes. I'm like, no, it's time.
Then you're real hungry, and then you have this.
And then you can't.
Yes, that's right.
Your body will tell you, that's it. I'm packing up shop.
And then you have a huge. This can be a drawback though. You have a huge meal, haven't eaten in a while, and then you crash.
Yes, you do. You get that drop off. Your body's digesting. It's like, then you feel like you need to go and have a nap for an hour.
Which is another drawback to being at home, because
when you're working from home. Well, you could take a 3-hour nap.
You can do whatever you want, which is part of the issue.
Because we all need boundaries. If you're not really efficient at setting your own boundaries when you work from home, it is a difficult thing to control.
It improved for me a lot going back to what we were speaking about before about being inspired and fulfilled by what you do during the day, the moment I found that motivation, the day changed because I had a focus, I had a goal. I could structure my day because I didn't want to waste time. And the day improved, you know?
I think that's because you'd finally found a cause worthy enough to throw yourself into wholeheartedly.
100%. It wasn't about, you know, money is a side effect of doing this, but it's not about that.
Previously you would be money first and foremost.
How much can I make? You know, and that's why everything stopped, everything crashed, nothing got off the ground.
Does anything in life, if money is the number one, I don't think anything truly good comes out of that. If any project you do, if money is the top focus, I don't think that leads to happiness. I think that leads to, if it's an organization, that organization will end up becoming toxic.
Yeah.
And almost acidic and crumbling, going.
You probably attract the wrong people. I mean, it only takes, I think, 7 days for one toxic employee to spread that to the entire office. It doesn't take long. You know, toxicity spreads. But now there are multi-millionaires, 100 millionaires who have started something that they weren't really interested in doing. Like, they weren't that inspired. There was just an amazing idea and they've got it off the ground. So I don't want to say that you can't release an incredible product or service and make a fortune. Traders, what about traders? That is a zero-sum game. So every time a trader wins, another trader has lost. They're not serving anybody, right? And it's not that might not be the most fulfilling thing, but the one thing I think they have in common is if you start something for money and you make a ton of it, then you start to shift.
So you know that I've worked from home now for like over a decade. It's been over 10 years. Yeah. So I know firsthand the amount of challenges you have. Like it's full on. And some seem to still be ongoing. The challenges don't ever go away.
No, they won't.
But you do start to figure out your own systems and things that you can implement to keep you focused as long as possible. Because I rarely have just perfect days where I am working from 9 in the morning when Felicia and Harry have gone off to do their thing for the day. Sometimes I'll have a strong morning and I'll have a weak afternoon. Sometimes my morning sucks and I'll be on like YouTube. I'll because I'll tell myself I'm studying film or I'm on a real juicy podcast like Impact Theory, Tom Bilyeu. But I'll get sucked into that and then it might get to like 12 or 1 o'clock and I'm hungry. I gotta go and have lunch. Oh yeah, but after lunch, I'll go and get started and I'll really hammer this edit. I'll get something really good done. Some days it'll still be like 3 p.m. Harry is getting in the door from school and I'll be just starting work. Like if I'm honest, not many people who know me will know that some of my days are like that, are that bad. When you don't have a person managing you, you have to manage yourself. And when you set things up like I do in my business, where when I set something up, it largely runs passively. So I have the freedom of time. My work doesn't equate to hours put in equals dollars made. It's not like that. If I put in a couple of tough weeks, I can generate a certain amount of revenue that I can almost count on, that I have to check on once a week. And then the big challenge, now I've remembered the point. The big challenge is when you are working from home and you do crush it and you do hit those goals, like almost beyond what you could have imagined. That happened to me 5 years ago or so, where I was earning really good money for that period. And it was almost completely running itself, check on it 1 or 2 hours a week, and I had all this free time. And when you have all this free time, then the real challenge starts, because if your work that you're doing isn't really purposeful and making a difference in the world, you crave something deeper. The dollars no longer do it, and you'll go and buy toys. If you'll remember, I bought a WRX.
You bought a car,
Spent 10 grand on that. That was an awesome car. The novelty of that took about 2 months, wore off. I went and I wish I was getting into film at that time. I would have dropped all my money into film. I would have all this sweet gear.
Yeah.
And
doesn't mean you would have started it.
Doesn't mean I would have started it. God, you've been around for the journey, mate.
I have, yeah.
But money is, we've already spoken on this, but
yeah,
finding that purpose.
It all comes back to that. Like, we could talk about any topic on this earth. I could come back to purpose with it. And I was speaking to a recruiter. This actually was interesting. I was speaking to a recruiter, totally random conversation, and I was trying not to use the words purpose and divine, and you're trying to avoid that words with certain people because, they're not going to react well. And I said, look, I just want to find something I really enjoy, and I want to do that. And he said, I don't really believe in that Tony Robbins bullshit. I think you should do the work that makes you money during the day that you have to do, and then in your off hours, then you can enjoy yourself. And I couldn't.
Oh, you mean like that 3 or 4 hours at night?
Yeah.
When you've been a slave for 9 hours.
Yeah.
Now you can enjoy yourself.
Just hustle till midnight and sleep for 6 hours and just get up and work the next day or something. Like, we're not all built like that, right?
No.
It's not that easy, especially if you've got kids and things. You can't come home. You still got to cook and and speak to the kids and do things around the house and spend time with your partner. So it's not really 3 or 4 hours. It's like half an hour maybe. Anyway, so he said this to me, and I just oh yeah, that's interesting. That's fair enough. That makes sense, I guess. I didn't want to fight. I don't really like getting into arguments about these things. If someone's really set in their values and beliefs, and he was, cool. But to say to me that it's better to do something you dislike for 9 hours and then come home and do something you enjoy for 1 or 2, I don't really get it. It's not how my mindset is anyway. Why don't you do something you really enjoy? And then, how you had that, you're saying you had your business up and running and was making a killing. And
Yep.
then I'm assuming at some point that fell off because you didn't really...
Well, it led to me being complacent. I'd
Yeah.
gotten to a certain level of income. I was buying the toys.
Yeah.
That wasn't bringing me happiness.
Mm-hmm.
My marriage at the time was pretty unfulfilling.
Yeah.
Wasn't going along too great. I had 2 children that I was raising as well, so that had its own stresses.
Yeah.
When you're working from home and raising 2 kids so that you end up being the one that takes them to school, because if you have the added flexibility of working from home, then it's kind of by default expected that you will take them to school, you'll pick them up. So I had a certain window of like 9 till 3 school hours where I could get stuff done.
Yeah.
But the number of days that it would get close to 3 o'clock and I'd done barely anything, and the later in the week it got, the more miserable I would get within myself. And I'd say, no, like it would be Thursday, and I'd be like, tomorrow I'm going to crush it. And then I'd get an hour or 2 of productive work done. But my income's still staying about the same. But I'd feel this just self-loathing, just disgust with myself of what I've achieved. I hadn't achieved anything that week, really. Still the same income, which wears off. It's cool that I can keep earning the same amount of money, but if you're not going after something, if you're not making those steps to get there, you end up miserable.
Well, you didn't even know what that end goal was. You didn't have a goal.
No, I didn't.
You didn't have an
I
end
didn't
goal.
have an end goal.
And you weren't accomplishing anything throughout the week, which means, like you said, self-loathing or self-worth was really low.
Yep.
And there's no other way to raise your self-worth than work within yourself. There's no outer thing that's going to make you feel great.
That brand new car will not do it.
No.
Nothing externally, definitely nothing of money will do it.
Exactly. Nothing materialistic can satisfy the soul, is something I heard a while back. And whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter, but it's the truth. You can go buy a million things. After a week, they'll wear off, right? But it doesn't mean that money's not important. Money gives you freedom. Money allows you to have a great life, right? Whether you want to travel or not travel, because I'm not a big traveler, but I still want nice things around me. It allows a lot of things, and it allows you to help people.
Yes.
It's
a tool.
It's a tool.
It is purely a tool.
Absolutely.
And once you have tons of that tool, which gives you the freedom of time, it then ends up with, and now what?
Yeah.
It's the biggest question. And now what? Because we look up to celebrities like, far out, that's the life. Like, they've got it made. All those millions in the bank, they don't have to worry about money for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
I mean, you see headlines all the time. Just how miserable a lot of them are.
They are.
Imagine having all that money, but that spotlight just sizzling on you. Just
totally. No one's ever.
You're being watched all the time.
Yep.
But then they have the freedom of time, just like I did. In a way, I had made it to the point of money wasn't a problem. Not for the rest of my life, because it did drop off, because I got complacent. But when money's not a problem, then if you don't have a bigger picture for yourself, well, then the universe will create one for you.
It'll always bring you back to balance.
And it can be misery.
Cataclysmic shifts, as I've been taught, so large shifts in your life, big things, divorces.
That's what it ended up with for me, divorce.
But it realigned you.
It does.
You were so off course.
Yeah,
so off course that the divorce brought you to here.
Well, I had to rebuild myself. God, we could do a whole other episode
on...
Oh
my gosh, yeah.
Because I do want to talk about my ex-marriage and the fallout of it and all of that, but damn, that's its own episode for sure.
Totally. I can actually bring this back a bit now to some practical things that people can do in their days, because I was never told anything practically, by the way. I was just like, whatever. So just figure it out, or try and keep yourself accountable. So here are a few things I've learned the past few years that I implemented. I don't implement it all the time, but I'm getting a lot better because now I'm doing something I'm inspired to do. So number one is, like we said, at the start of the day, or preferably the night before, set your plan of action for the next day. So let's say you're doing it the night before. What do you want to accomplish? What is the highest priority thing that you can do that will reward you the most in that following day? So prior to even doing that, though, you want to figure out what your larger goals are in all the areas of life. You don't want to just let someone else run it for you. So let's say you've set a goal, you've set some smaller goals. That night you can look at that sheet and go, okay, I've got these things I want to get done. Is there anything I can do, or what can I do tomorrow to try and accomplish some of that? Oh yeah, even if it's a bit of research this, call this person. Or sometimes I used to have goals that were learn about X, Y, or Z, because I didn't have the knowledge to be able to do it.
Just that simple, a little dot point.
That's it. Bang. Learn about that. But to learn, you have to find mentors or find people who are the top of their field in that area. So find out about people in this area and maybe find a few courses that might help me.
Yeah, sometimes it can be simpler courses. Sometimes for me it's YouTube. There's a wealth of knowledge from people on YouTube. Absolutely. I think we've all got our little idols and things.
Totally, people we follow.
We follow for sure. Yeah.
So you can set those goals the night before is the very first thing I would say. And then the next day I would structure the day. So block it. That's what I would do. So if you know you're going to wake up, try and keep a routine. I don't know, my sleep routine went out the window. I mean, I was sleeping at midnight, 1 a.m., waking up at 10. I felt like shit. Right? I mean, I feel my best when I sleep at a certain time, about 10 p.m., 9:30, 10, and then I wake up about 7. That's what works for me.
Okay, yeah.
Everyone's totally different when it comes to sleep, but I'm just saying it'd be good to keep in a sort of sleep pattern. That helps.
Some sort of rhythm, yeah.
A rhythm helps, because your body knows what's coming, it's expecting it and everything. So you wake up, you block your time. So I used to have my morning work session was between 9 and 12. And then my lunch break to go out of the house, get some sun, sometimes I'd go for a walk at the park at Newstead and just like breathe in some fresh air, go and get something to eat, come back home. And then my afternoon was a 1 to 4 block.
Okay, yeah.
And then I would eat again. I'd set the time to eat. And then I would choose if I wanted to do a night block, because the benefit of working from home, if you don't have children or things like that, or you don't have any commitments at night, is you can do a block from, let's say, 5:30 to 7:30.
Because what time would your partner get home typically?
Typically, when she was working in an office full time, she'd be home about 6:30.
Yep.
And I knew that if that was the case, 6:30 till 8:30 was our time. And I wouldn't plan to do anything in that time, because I knew we would cook, we would spend quality time together without any monitors, TVs, phones in the way. Try and actually connect a little bit.
Bit of discipline there. That's easier said than done.
I know. We still have disputes about it where we're just like, can you get off your phone? I just want to have time to talk
it
to
can
you.
almost start a little argument, hey? Because you'll see them looking down at that phone. You're like, can you get off it? But you're like, I do that myself.
Yeah, I know. I do it too. It's like, I know I'm just throwing stones if I say to her, turn your phone off, because she's not that bad. I just sometimes get annoyed, but we all do.
Maybe we just smack it out of their hands.
I know.
Like a little tantrum.
Tell you what, I have a couple of times hit it. It's
playful.
Like, no, playful hit it. Yeah. She doesn't love it.
She'd pretend to be full aggro and just flick it almost. Just get it out of your hand.
Exactly. She's shocked the first time I did it. She was so shocked I hit it out of her hands. But so we have that time, and then if I wanted to maybe do a 1 hour before bed, I would, or we would just hang out, But I see time now as every hour that I'm not producing or doing something could potentially be costly. Like, it is costing money if you're not doing work, right? Like if you're watching Netflix, how much is it actually costing you to watch Netflix?
Which can give you some form of anxiety, that pressure you put on yourself. Because if you do start crushing it and you do start seeing time as this commodity that if I'm not accomplishing every waking hour, I'm a loser, or I'm just not getting enough done. I think that can be problematic in itself.
It can be.
Go too hard that way.
Yeah.
You've got to balance it in your mind. You've got to realize when to shut off. Isn't that one of the biggest challenges?
Yeah.
Let's go down that road. The challenge of shutting off. When you work from home, you do everything from home. Sometimes you feel like you are never switching off. The work is right there around the corner of your house. It's not a 9 to 5 where you can say, okay, time's up. No, you're faced with that big challenge, especially if there's kids or a partner. If you're single, much easier. I'll just work till 10 o'clock. But if you're trying to do that 9 till 10 at night, when you have other people in your life, they need some of you. You've got to have something left to give them.
Unless you can have an understanding that, hey, my time with you guys is 6:30 to 8:30 at night. Can you understand that 9 to 10 is just that extra hour I need to work on the things I really enjoy? And then maybe communicate to them what it is you're working on and how doing that's going to help them in the long run. Link it back
Let
to...
them buy into your bigger picture.
Exactly.
Why it benefits all of us.
Absolutely. They'll be just like, oh, you're selfish, this is your time, but hold on, when I finish this, I'll be able to provide with more income. We'll actually have more time together because I won't have to work my job.
More holidays because of this income.
Stack the benefits up because they're not thinking that way.
Bribe them with generosity.
Yeah, exactly.
The thought of all these things. Yeah. We might go overseas next week.
Look at all the freedom we'll have. Exactly.
Those holidays better be pretty good then.
Yeah.
Don't
Don't overreach. Don't promise some overseas $20,000 trip if you can't ultimately deliver on it. But there are some real benefits that usually people who are kind of thinking, this is how I imagine my life to be and this is how I want things to go day to day. As soon as they're challenged by that, they're very resistant to it. But you can explain to them, oh no, that's going to actually help you with all the things you want. All the things that are important to you. This thing I'm doing is going to help all that. You know what I mean? So I just want to touch on if we can go back to some of the other practical things people can do. So they can plan out their day, they can block out their time. They can also look at when they're most productive, because you said before there were times you were productive in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon. Some people are just better at night for some reason. Some people are better first up. You don't need to resist that. Some people are like, oh, I hate that I'm not a morning person or whatever. I'm not.
I think it's almost what you mentally buy into. There's certain windows of time where if you set yourself in motion in the morning, if you wake up with that attitude of I'm going to crush it from 8 till 10, those first 2 hours I'm going to crush, then you just mentally buy into that. You can do that each day. But if you have no framework in your head of what time you might like to crush that work, then you'll never find I don't even know how to voice that, but you'll never find your sweet spot. Yeah. You know, you got to commit to one of those windows, right, of time, the morning, afternoon, night.
Depends how bad you want to do whatever it is you're trying to do. You know, we're going to keep rehashing this point, but what are you doing it for? What's your drive? You know, if it's money, you know the momentum will die. We know that. If it's something bigger than yourself, something grand, you probably won't. And this is something that I think is important for people to kind of grasp. If you are doing something that's aligned with your true self or your purpose, you will find the momentum, the energy, and the engagement to do it. No one will have to tell you to do it. You will not need to watch YouTube motivational videos every single day to get inspired to do what you truly are here to do. If you're doing something because it's money, because mum and dad told you to do, you will procrastinate, you will feel tired, you will lack concentration, and ultimately you'll give up every time. So huge distinguishing both of those things, you know, and that's how I used it as a guide, by the way. So when I started my 3 or 4 different businesses online and they didn't go anywhere, number one, as soon as I was hit with a bit of resistance or challenge, I stopped. So I wasn't willing to push through the crap. That's a huge sign that you're not doing something that's really aligned with you. And secondly, I was not spontaneously motivated to do it. I had to kind of find the motivation to do it. I had to get Alison to try and push me to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was living in a fantasy land that these things were going to work for that major reason. So if you can find but ultimately I still think blocks of time are good, or going, you know, I'm not a morning person. I kind of get going at about 10 o'clock. Like me personally, I work better about 10 o'clock onwards, but I can also work well at night too.
Okay.
You know,
couple of sweet spots there, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But I know that in myself. And you can also set the task you least want to do for the day. So you've written out your 5 or 7 things you want to do for the day. There's usually 1 or 2 that you kind of like, you need to do it.
Always.
But don't want to do it.
Yep.
They'll always be there, right? I'm not saying that if you find what you truly want, everything you do, you'll be motivated to do. There'll be a ton of stuff you don't really want to do. Like I'm learning about online advertising and things like that. I don't want to, but I have to, because it's part of it.
The greater picture, the greater purpose.
Exactly. And if I don't, the whole thing won't take off. But you can pick the 1 or 2 things that you are dreading the most or least motivated by and do them first. Get them done.
And I know the days where I do that. I have plenty of days where I don't, and I tackle the easy tasks. When I get those 1 or 2 tough ones done first, it empowers the rest of my day. I have a much higher chance of crushing the rest of the day.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good throughout the whole thing too. Like, it's almost like you've earned some, how do I say it? You've earned some self-worth with yourself, that you knew you didn't want to do these couple of tough things, but you did it anyway. And they're done at the start of the day. You don't have to. The mental power you waste on those ones if you leave them till the night or don't get them done. I know that takes a toll on me mentally.
All day.
I knew I could have done those tough things that day. It's gone to the next day, and I'm like almost slightly, just a little bit of wallowing the rest of the night. Then I'm a bit cranky, a bit resentful.
Yeah.
I know that's happened to me working from home. If I'm not crushing, it's not necessarily crushing it every day. We say this language like, I gotta crush the day.
Yeah.
Gotta just dominate everything, always. Give me that computer. Oh!
It's like you every time you say crush, I'm thinking 15-hour days, like red eyes, just like smashing.
Gary Vee, just...
Gary Vee style.
Yeah. It just doesn't work.
No.
It doesn't work for me.
No.
Some people might be wired that way.
Yeah.
But I can be highly productive in a 2 to 3 hour day. I can get a lot done in 2 to 3 hours. If I pull my finger out.
If it's focused.
Sometimes if I just started my day with those 2 to 3 hours, bang, I can take the rest of the day off. If I want to go and do something, if I want to go and film and just have a good time, go to the Asian gardens here, just go down the road and just film and have a good time. I know already that I've crushed.
You've crushed it?
Crushed it.
Crushed. Not a 15-hour day. It means good quality work. That's what crushing it is.
No, you can go and enjoy the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Isn't that part of why you want to be self-employed or work from home?
Yes.
Is the flexibility?
It's a huge part of it. It's the flexibility and not having to ask a boss, can I please take an hour off to go and
to go and feed myself.
To go and feed myself, or when do you want me to take my lunch break, or I have a doctor's appointment. People.
Can I go and use the toilet?
Yeah.
Can I do a number 2?
Exactly. How long am I allowed to be in there for? Is there a limit?
There's like timers inside the toilets and it just goes
Yeah,
off.
ding. Whether you're done or not, you got to leave.
Get out.
Get out. I tell you what, I don't know, I'm sure there's people who've had a job they despise and hidden in the toilet or trying to get away from it. I've had that before. And you look back and go, oh man, like that's a waste. Like,
Especially if you have co-workers that are complete douches.
yeah, and you're going to get them. You can do a day in review. So not many people analyse the day that they've just had and go, what worked and what didn't work? What can I adjust to improve?
It sounds like a great system for self-accountability.
Yeah.
To make sure you're getting stuff done.
It's like a 1% improvement a week or a month. Imagine having that over a year, it's huge. That's what I've experienced with personal development anyway, over time.
Like compounding interest, compounding self-worth. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let's run with that. That sounds good.
Compounding self-worth. There you go. Let's look that up.
It's a good term. Let's put it on a big banner and put it on the wall.
And just look at it every day. Well, maybe
I came up with that.
Maybe set something a little bit more like inspiring, like an image.
Yeah.
Well, I know someone who's got $100 million across his wall that he looks at to like, that's his goal, you know.
Wow, 100 million.
You know, that's another thing. What about goal? You know, what, in a small way, what about goal setting? You know, waking up and we're saying setting the goals, but do you have an idea of what your ideal life is going to look like when you do succeed? I mean, how much is it going to cost you? What would it look like with your family involved? No, I don't see a lot of people have a vision of that. Some people think like the ideal life is going to be like $1 million. I've run the figures. It's nowhere near that for me.
You'd want a lot more, right?
A lot less.
A lot? Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh. I thought the average person, I was just like, what would their ideal goals be?
Yeah.
I thought the average person would want a lot more than $1 million.
I know. And they weren't small lifestyle things. They were, you know, have this big unit that I'm renting and have a couple of cars and, you know, be able to travel a few months of the year. And if you really price it up, it's not what you think. And that's why it was a bit of an eye-opener for me. I think my figure was $375,000 or something. That's taking into account tax as well. But
is that taking into account, so what's that, renting?
Renting a place, you know, like a real penthouse on the beach. You know, it's not... Well, maybe not a penthouse,
under
but like
$500,000 and you could be living what most people would consider an ideal lifestyle.
Absolutely. And I didn't just say I wanted a Lambo. I didn't put a Lambo in there because I don't want a Lambo. A lot of people think, well,
I know you want a Lexus, Pete. Come on.
Want a Lexus.
It's all about the Lexus.
Absolutely. 130,000 secondhand. No.
Oh yeah, cheap.
But yeah, cheap. It's cheap compared to a Lambo, $500,000. You know, it's actually really well priced. But people, it helps to get clear on that, I think. So you're working towards something.
That's a common problem for most people. They don't have any clarity on what they want. What is the big target they're trying to aim at? People don't have that. They have nothing to aim at.
They're not sure. I don't think a lot of people thought about it.
No, they don't stop long enough. Like, you got to ponder. You got to sit in your own space and time and ponder about these things.
Yeah, and what do you want? As in, not what your partner wants for you or your parents want for you. Just going back to subordinating. Another problem is setting goals that are aligned with you or things that you like. So my ideal lifestyle is my ideal lifestyle, not my partner's version of it. It's mine.
Which sounds so selfish, Pete.
I know people say you only think about yourself,
Yeah.
but you know, if you don't think about yourself, who else will? Like, no one else is going to organize your life or plan it, right? It's not that ideal lifestyle, she's not in it or she won't enjoy it. It's just what I would enjoy the most.
And ideally, she'll have her own version that she's going after.
And we've discussed it. It's spoken about. It's understood. It's okay.
Then you're buying into each other's.
Yeah.
Yes. That's healthy. That
It's
sounds
linking
healthy.
It's linking it. And there is some balance. I don't want to say, because in a way, some people's ideal lifestyle in their head of the traveling and the living on the beach, that needs to be debunked because it's a fantasy. So people don't think, what's the drawbacks of living on a beach? I'm sure people who are listening to that sentence right then are like, you're an idiot. It's a beach, it's a cocktails, it's beer. I will never get sick of it. Truth is, you will get sick of it. You'll start to hate it.
I think if you really think about it for just more than a few minutes, you understand that that's not what you want.
No.
You don't want to be sitting on a beach drinking cocktails.
Yeah.
Imagine doing that for a week straight. I'd be sick of it after 3 days.
Exactly.
I'd be
Yep.
like, What do you mean? Some people might say, what do you mean? 3 days of drinking cocktails on the beach? Sounds pretty bloody good to me. Well, that's because most people are in 9-to-5 jobs that they would like to drink themselves silly for 3 straight days.
Because it's escapism, right?
Escape it.
So here's a little story.
It's not fulfilling though.
No, it's not. So you substitute things like that in when you're least fulfilled. So when I was working in construction, I gambled a lot. I used to go out drinking a lot. And I would do anything to escape. And they were only filling a void, ultimately. Now, I don't have gambling urges. I haven't drunk in a couple of years. And it's that I don't have anything against it. Just don't want to do it anymore.
Don't want to escape anymore.
Don't
What
want
do you
to
mean,
escape.
Pete? You don't want to escape your own life
I know.
into some other form of reality?
Yeah. Temporarily, right? And it would wear off and then I'd feel shit again. Yeah.
It always wears off.
It always wears off. What you'll find is when you're...
There are no magic pills.
No, I agree with that. No.
That's a whole episode in itself. Stop going for the magic pills.
The quick fixes, the get-rich-quick schemes.
They're a trap. So you've got people that are self-employed and work for themselves from home, like me. I'm employed to myself. I don't answer to anybody. No clients, nothing, which is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
And then we have people that work for bosses in normal jobs, but they do it from home. And that's sort of its own challenge, I guess. So how do you see it for those people? What do you think are the challenges for those people?
Knowing what they're doing the job for. So I'll use my partner as a perfect example. She works from home and has good days, bad days, productivity wise, and it's not what she eventually would like to do, but she's aware of how that job is helping her build to what she wants. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So her end goal is to getting into the acting and films and things of that nature, and she's done that in the past. She speaks about it a lot. She's motivated by it. So all
it's
the
a true
signs
passion.
Yep, it's a true thing. However, that doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. Just like anything, you got to build something.
So she realizes she's a stepping stone.
Yeah.
This is just part of the process of getting to where she ultimately wants to get to.
Yeah. You don't want to resent your job day to day, even if you're working from home, and go, I can't believe I've got to get up and do this, because you're going to resent it whether you're at home or you're in the office.
Well, and byproduct of that is you end up resenting your home. The actual place that should be your sanctuary to get away from it. For most people, they go to work and they come home and their home is nothing but their sanctuary and time to chill out if their relationship's okay. But when you work from home, that's all muddled together. You got to try and differentiate and you have to be quite aware of your environment.
What about the space? How have you found setting a space in the house that's a work zone if you've got the space? So at the moment, I'm in a bit of a position where we've got a large lounge and it's lounge turning into my work zone. Not great for me. I bought a standing desk that you can wind up, which sort of helps break the day up, stand a bit, sit a bit. But you had a dedicated workspace. You've got a dedicated workspace here too.
I do. Like basically that wing of the house, an old sunroom that's been built in, is like it's turned into my studio now. I can film in there. I can do everything. This is the lounge room here that we're filming in now, and because there's no people here, I can use it during the day as a giant extended studio. But in my previous, it's not a previous life, when I used to be married, I had one room in the house that you had to walk through to get to the toilet. And so when the kids got home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they had to come through there to go to the toilet. And so trying to stay focused in an environment like that, you do get used to it, but you're definitely not the most productive when kids are walking through your house, through your office to try and use the loo.
It's not an ideal work situation, and distractions take, I think, on average 30 minutes to recover from.
Oh, and it feels like that. It does. It feels like they might go to the toilet, come back through the office, go out, close the doors, and then I'm like trying to re-find that focus that I was feeling, where I was in some sort of flow. And it
that's tough.
takes time. Sometimes you never get it back.
You're not going to.
The rest of the afternoon.
Because you're recovering from an initial distraction. 20 minutes later, you get distracted again. So then you're trying to recover from that one. And then you just get annoyed and I can give up.
It leads to resentment.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing is then you're kind of resentful to a low level for that afternoon or the night, and then so the kids might get that from you, that vibe. You're really not trying to, but you're just like at odds with yourself. Like, why couldn't I get back into that flow state? Well, because the kids came through and I couldn't work. But really, half the time, if I had had a very productive day the whole day until they got home, then hey, I've lost the afternoon. I couldn't get back into the flow state.
Yeah.
Big deal. I'm going to go and play with the kids outside because I have the flexibility to do that because I work from home. That's an ideal day. But if you have been procrastinating and going through and you've only started work at like 1 p.m. and you just gets to 3 p.m, kids get home, you haven't got enough done, you in a sickening way and not a healthy way blame the kids for why you've had an unproductive day.
Totally. Again,
so unconsciously.
Makes sense though, you're projecting it onto them. And
you are projecting.
If you are productive, like you said in your first example, and they come home, you'll be more present and engaged if you do want to spend time with them, instead of thinking about what you could have done during the day.
Yes.
It'd be totally different.
Yes.
You know, slightly off topic here, I just want to touch on this because it is a tactic I once used. I struggle with, so we all work on computers now, and especially if you're at home, you can click on any website, any video and watch whatever you want, whenever you want. I kept finding myself on eBay and YouTube and all these other sites. So what I know it's a bit extreme, but what I would do is I'd have my plan and I would find what I want to watch or what I'd like to do, download the video if I could, and then get the computer offline, because I couldn't resist the temptation to distract myself. Phone on airplane mode, computer offline. I know some people are going to say, but I have to go on this platform and it needs the internet. That's great. Is there any way you can turn off all your other monitors, maximize the screen, and just so you can't touch it, and so you can't just go, I'm just going to check this website, you know?
Force as much as you can into zoning in.
Yeah.
To give you the best chance of getting into a flow and being productive.
Especially if I had to do anything on paper, work, I would turn the computer off. I couldn't be trusted. It's just like,
it's just human nature.
Instagram.
God, we get distracted so easy, and it feels like it's getting worse as we get more and more of these devices that we can touch and interact with, and they're at arm's reach everywhere. iPad,
non-stop.
Phone. Now phones, you can do everything from them. Smartwatches, you can just reach anywhere and have a distraction right in your hands. Like having YouTube on your phone is a blessing and a curse. Yeah. I love it. If I'm cooking in the kitchen, I'll put on a YouTube video and I'll start my day with like a film video, something I could learn, or a podcast. But then often that'll flow over into when I take my breakfast to my workspace. I'll just keep watching that video, or I'll bring it up on the computer then, and I can keep watching it.
Yeah.
And then an hour goes by because, geez, it was a good, juicy podcast. And then the self-loathing begins.
Oh, what a cycle. What a cycle.
It's a life of cycles when you work from home.
I know, you got to break them though, because you're the only one who will. At the end of the day, you know you got bad patterns. If you're not going to set the goals, make the time and push yourself, you can't really expect someone else to. No. And if you do put it on someone else and they let you down and you blame them, that's on you. It's not their job to push you to get things done.
No. It's hard. It's like,
you
don't have that thing on I guess your why needs to be big enough to keep you accountable.
Yeah, as one of my mentors says, when the why is big enough, the how takes care of themselves. You don't have to worry about the hows so much, you know, which is sort of what I'm feeling a little bit at the moment with what I'm working on. Is the why is pretty big, and it makes a lot of sense, and it's in sync with what I want, and how is just sort of slowly unraveling and just taking care of itself, you know?
You think with what you're working on now, and it's a question to you, I guess, because what I'm working on now, I don't see it clearly as it's unfolding, but I'm enjoying it so much and making these pieces of content that it is just unfolding for me in front of me. And it just all feels great, the whole thing. And I gather that it's a bit like that for you with what you're creating.
Yeah. At first I didn't know how I would really put it together, exactly what the content would be, how would I get anyone to test it. I didn't even think of some of those things. I just had an overarching goal of I want to deliver a program that helps people specifically in dating and relationships. And then it just kind of came to me in a way. I just thought, oh, this would help, and put it together over time. But there's evidence in your life, just like there's evidence in my life that it is coming together. The fact that we're doing this discussion is evidence that it's coming together. The fact that I've got people testing my product live now and giving me feedback is evidence. So, and as I was saying before, you're willing to push through the shit, the pushback. You're willing to go through that because you want to do this so much.
Oh, the greater picture for this channel. Yeah. I just see it as I really truly believe that I'm going to have impact.
Yeah.
And people are going to tune in to watch these discussions and these edited pieces of content and the longer form stuff, shorter form. And I truly believe it's going to impact on people's lives. And that why for me, why am I doing this? Just far outweighs and shines over any of these, what are people going to say? Like the judgment.
The haters.
The haters getting in there with their one-liners. Just toxicity.
I know.
Because they're loathing themselves.
Yeah, it's their shit, right? So
see, that's an interesting thing. Just like an epiphany went to me. You got the trolls in the YouTube comments, the people who put the one-liners out there. Maybe because they don't have friends to lash out at, or people close to them to lash out at with their resentment and their self-loathing. Now, I might think I'm somehow better than them because I won't lash out in comments when I'm having a bad day and say bad crap out there via text. But I will project it onto those closest to me. I'll project it onto my partner Felicia and Harry. He'll cop it some days. So really, am I any better on those days than those trolls in the comments? It's all a projection of resentment.
Yeah, it's different forms. Right? There's a written form online, yours a verbal form. And so we all have these things.
Yeah.
Everyone's got all these things. And sometimes the haters aren't a bad thing, and I don't think you need to be in a proud state. Some people say, bring it on, bring on the haters, I love it. I'm not certain, because that's not really a balanced frame of mind, in my opinion. However, being aware that, because in my perspective, this is just the way I see it, haters have their place. I will always have them. They will always appear. And in a way, you want to go out and get your first 10 haters, because you'll have your first 10 supporters. Because you can't have the supporters without the haters.
That never-ending balance that goes on in life.
Absolutely. So if you don't have any haters, you don't have anything out there that anyone cares about. So
if you're going after big stuff, trying to make real impact, you're going to get haters.
You're going to get it. Think about the biggest, most well-known people in life, right? Even think about the Donald Trumps, right? He's got millions of haters because he's serving millions of people, and he's got millions of supporters.
Oh yeah.
So
it's like on the biggest scale. You see that equilibrium, the universe trying to balance it out happening all the time.
Absolutely. I mean, the more you serve. So if you, with this channel, you start and you get exposure and you have a few thousand followers, you'll attract 500 or 1,000 haters or something. Then if you start serving 10,000, 100,000, then you'll get 10,000, 100,000 haters. It just grows as your reach grows. That's all it really is. It just feels more intense when you do reach that level because you're seeing so much more of it.
So you have to work on your own strategies to zone it out. Just don't pay attention.
Yeah.
I have a feeling I'll be quite good at that.
You'll be all right.
There's not that many people's opinions that I value.
There you go.
If I don't know them and they don't have any credibility with me, it's white noise to me. I don't care. Like, why would I listen to you? You don't know me. You don't know who I am. You don't know anything about me. So you're casting judgment on me? You know nothing about who I am, my journey, any of it.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to think about it. Don't let it affect you too much, because if a few comments will stop you from doing something, then maybe it's not the right thing to be pursuing, or it's kind of a feedback to, got to work on on some stuff, your own stuff. You know what I mean? Because like I said, their comments, their negative hate, it's their shit. They actually that's their stuff they need to deal with. It's not really your stuff. But a lot of people take it on board as their stuff. Like, oh, there's a negative comment. Oh man, that really hurt. But we don't have a lot of tools, right? It's one thing I've complained about for the first couple of years I did personal development was, where are the tools? Like, as in, so get over this, get over that. How? There are actual physical things you can do, which we won't get into in this video. This is way too complex. But there are things you can do to move past resentments and things like that.
Definitely. But you have to spend time. You have to invest a lot of time to go down that path.
It's no joke. It's no joke. I would be safe in saying, if I said I've done 300 hours of one-on-one coaching, I'd be probably close to reality, and probably a couple thousand hours of personal development easily. And I had a lot of stuff to work on. Not everyone's the same though.
And forever learning. Like, it'll never end, hey? Once you're on that journey, you start to enjoy just being on it.
You love it.
You don't want it to end.
Absolutely.
There is no final end.
There's no final end, right? We were talking about this before.
That's comforting.
It's
I find it comforting.
Yeah, you can never reach a point where I've learned everything and I know everything and I'm done.
I get to be on this ride forever.
Yeah, because you'll always be challenged, you'll always attract stuff, it'll always make you grow, it'll never stop.
So, is there any final comments you'd like to say?
There's one thing around working from home that I think is important. It's to have a balanced idea of what it's going to be like. So we talked about things that you can do to improve it, but there's people who are currently working full-time having a fantasy about what working from home is like. So before you quit your job or decide that that's what you really want, some people work in a 9 to 5 just fine and they enjoy it. So not everyone has to work from home.
Not everyone's wired to work from home.
No, some people don't enjoy it and they love their jobs. There's no point leaving it and living in a fantasy land. So be balanced. That's my major point. Be balanced. Think about the drawbacks of working from home. All the things we said, lack of motivation. You don't get a lot of social time unless you have people around you that you can go and see. You don't get out and do exercise unless you really force yourself to. Your schedule gets thrown out, your routine gets thrown out. I would, if you have a fantasy of working from home, write some drawbacks of it. Bring it back to a kind of a point where you can go, I can see it would be good, but there would also be some bad things about it. And yeah, that's really my major thing that I would say about it.
All right, Pete. Well, we really don't have any battery left to keep rolling, so that's a shame. But
yeah, no, we could go all day.
It's been a great conversation, and
it's been great.
Thanks for coming out here today and chatting with me.
Man, you're welcome. Real. Thanks. Man.
Harry.
And now over to Harry. He's going to answer some questions.
Harry's going to come and do a dance for y'all. So, I mean, I think that's still rolling. You've got about 2% battery to do your thing. They call that the Orange Justice dance. Oh, that camera wouldn't have got it. Orange Justice. Harry, this camera. Do the Orange Justice. And now Pete and I will do it with you. Actually, this camera will be better. Pete and I will do the Orange Justice with Harry.
What is an Orange Justice?
There's a cat there. Okay.
What is it?
Harry, come in. You're in the center.
Oh yeah, you come in the center.
That camera. Pete, come this way.
Yeah? Yeah?
Orange Justice. How do we do it?
What do we do?
Yeah. Oh, there's a whole lot of like hinging and knee and hips happening.
This is technical stuff.
Pete's the natural.
I can't. I don't know. He's so much better than us.
He's just chucking wobbly.
I can't do it. Is this what's in at the moment? See, I don't even know what's happening. I don't even know what's in the Orange Justice. And what's that? The floss? Is that the floss?
Oh, watch your hands.
Oh,
I've learned the
floss. I know I can't floss.
You don't ever floss?
No, my teeth. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can't dance floss though. Oh. Harry's just loving the camera.
Yeah, he's made for the camera.
He's natural.
Lights, camera, action.